What if you could have a career where the opportunities are as vast as our nation, where it's not about mission statements, but a shared mission? At U.S. Customs and Border Protection, we go beyond to protect more than borders. From ship to shore, air to ground, cities to local communities, CBP agents and officers are keeping people safe. Join U.S. Customs and Border Protection and go beyond for something far greater than yourself. Learn more at cbp.gov/careers.
Now for our story. It was early evening at Aunt Mary Lane's farm. In the cozily lighted living room, Lefty Larkin sat in his favorite easy chair opposite Aunt Mary, who was sitting in her favorite chair, a straight-backed one. Aunt Mary had always said she preferred a chair in which she could sit up with her backbone straight the way it was intended to be. The house was fragrant with the spicy odor of the mincemeat which was simmering on the kitchen stove. Aunt Mary liked to get it ready long before the holidays and store it in an earthenware jar until she needed it. Now, sitting in the lamplight, she's busily sorting through a bag of colored bits of cloth. She looks up and smiles at Lefty as he says,
"You know, Aunt Mary, I don't believe I've ever seen you sitting idle with your hands folded in your lap. At least not when there was enough light to work by."
Well, it always seems such a waste of time just to sit. There's so many things to do.
What are you up to now with all those colored rags?
Oh, these aren't rags, Lefty. They're scraps.
I don't see the difference.
There's a big difference. Any woman could tell you that.
Well, what are you going to do with them? Not that it's any of my business.
To tell the truth, it's a surprise. But I think I can trust you.
I should hope so. I've never been known as a blabbermouth.
All right, then. It's a surprise for Peggy. She's always admired that big patchwork quilt of mine, so I thought I'd make her one.
Well, that's nice. I know she'll be pleased. Think you'll get it done in time for Christmas?
I don't know. I'm going to try.
Well, if you don't, it'd make a mighty nice wedding present for Peggy and Nicholas.
Wedding present.
It does sound funny, doesn't it? It's hard to remember sometimes that she's so grown up.
Yes, she's grown up now. A woman with a woman's problems.
Yeah, that's so.
I'm rather glad Peggy's out this evening. I've been wanting to talk to you, but there hasn't been an opportunity the last few days.
What about?
Well, Lefty, when I told you about Kit's being back and the baby, you didn't have much to say. I wonder if you realize what it means.
Oh, I don't know. I should think it means that Bill Meade has decided to settle down and raise a family. It means that Ben Calvert's been going around town puffed out like a pouter pigeon handing out cigars.
Yes, but it means a whole lot more than that. You remember I kept saying all the time Kit was gone that there must be some reason for the way Bill was acting?
Oh, that. Sure, Aunt Mary. I see you were right about that. About something keeping Bill from saying what was on his mind. Even a guy like Bill wouldn't be going around telling the whole countryside that he wanted to divorce his wife with her away having a baby.
But the point is, Bill wasn't being dishonest with Peggy.
Well, Aunt Mary, I guess he wasn't if you look at it that way. If you make a promise, you have to stick by it. Stick by the spirit of it. But in Bill's case, I think his loyalties were somewhat misplaced. He could have told Peggy what the situation was long ago, without hurting Kit. And it would have saved Peggy a heck of a lot of grief.
Well, I'm afraid I don't agree with you, Lefty. A promise is a promise. If you start deciding which ones you should keep and which ones it's all right to break, your standard of honesty will be pretty unsound.
Well, now, don't get me wrong, Aunt Mary. I don't mean a person shouldn't keep his word. But just the same, there's a difference between sticking to a thing out of some stubborn sense of honor or having the nerve to follow your convictions about the right thing to do. I think Bill Meade lacks that nerve.
Well, Lefty, we've never agreed on the subject of Bill Meade, and I'm afraid we never will.
I guess not. But thank goodness it won't matter from now on. Now that Peggy realizes what she wants to do with her life, now that she has Nicholas.
But, Lefty, don't you realize what a difference this all might make to Peggy?
What do you mean, Why should it make a difference to Peggy?
Because, Lefty, I'm pretty sure that Peggy's real deep feelings about Bill have never changed.
Well, I don't believe it.
You don't want to, that's why. But, that's the reason I wanted to talk to you.
Aunt Mary, you mean you're going to go through all that old business again about what a fine, sterling, misunderstood character Bill Meade is?
Now, Lefty, please don't let yourself get all upset and cross. If you do, we won't be able to see things calmly. And for Peggy's sake, I think it's important for us to be clear about it, so we can help her to be.
It's not so important for us to be clear. The point is, Peggy's clear.
Are you sure about that? Have you talked it over with Peggy?
Of course I have. You remember, Aunt Mary, we had a long talk that night down at my place.
No, I don't mean then. That was quite a while ago. I mean, since Bill told her that Kit was back. Since she's understood what's happened.
Well, maybe I haven't talked to her in the last day or two. Somehow I haven't seen much of her.
No, I haven't either. Doesn't that strike you as meaning something?
All it means is that Peggy's been busier than usual lately.
No. It means that Peggy has purposely avoided getting into a discussion with either of us. She's worried, and she's trying to hide it. Trying to talk herself into something.
Aunt Mary, I hope you won't mind my saying this.
No, go ahead, Lefty. I want you to say whatever you have in mind.
All right, but I don't want you to be mad.
Oh, Lefty, you should know me better than that. What is it?
My idea is that you're being, well, sort of romantic about Peggy and Bill and Nicholas. Well, women always like to build these things up. It's more exciting that way. When really there's nothing complicated about it at all.
Oh, Lefty, honestly.
Think I'm funny, don't you?
Yes, I'm afraid I do.
I don't see anything funny about it. The whole thing's as plain as the nose on your face. Sure, Peggy and Bill went round together. Then when he showed himself to be the kind of a heel he is, Peggy got fed up. And then Nicholas Dorn came to town. Peggy realized what a swell guy he is. He fell in love with her, and they got engaged. What's complicated about all that? It happens every day.
Lefty, I wish for your sake, because it means so much to you, that it were simple the way you see it. The trouble is, though, that people's emotions are much too complicated to follow neat little patterns like that, even though we might wish they did.
Sure, I know that. But even so, you can be pretty sure of some things. And if a man has behaved toward a girl the way Bill Meade did toward Peggy, no matter how you try to whitewash it, you can bank on the fact that she's not going to give him a chance to hurt her like that again.
You might think that, Lefty. And yet, there's a sentence in the Bible which sums it up very well.
What's that, Aunt Mary?
It's from the Songs of Solomon. It says, "Many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown." And it's true.
Many waters cannot quench love.
Neither can the floods drown.
But even so, I just can't believe that Peggy would think for 1 minute of giving up a fine boy like Nicholas, of hurting him.
I'm sure Peggy doesn't want to hurt Nicholas.
He's been fair with her, honorable. He gave up a good job in Hollywood just to stay here, so they could have the sort of life Peggy wants, the life she's used to.
That's all true.
And now she's made this agreement with him. He's counting on it. I've talked to that boy a lot, Aunt Mary. I know how much he wants to make Peggy happy.
Yes, I'm sure he does.
Aunt Mary, what do you think Peggy will do?
Well, I'm not sure, Lefty. I wish I could be. All I am sure about is that at this time, Peggy is very much confused, torn between decisions. Because Peggy doesn't want to make anyone unhappy, she'd do anything she could to avoid it. That's why I'm worried. She might even go so far as to marry a man she didn't love, rather than break her word to him.
Aunt Mary looked at her old friend Lefty Larkin gravely, and Lefty returned her look with an unhappy, troubled expression in his eyes. Lefty was worried because he was beginning to see that Aunt Mary's ideas made a lot of sense, much as he hated to think so. If Aunt Mary was right, perhaps it was unfortunate that Peggy hadn't waited, hadn't been more patient. Now, since she's made the pact with Nicholas Dorn, Peggy will feel that she owes him her loyalty, even if Bill Meade were free.